Hey Ryan, this is David Olkowetsky with ArtisanRevere. I want to say thank you very much for your purchase. My team and I in Idaho really appreciate it. Look, we made these knives to blow away the competition. And you mentioned in one of your messages that you're a professional cook. I'm very excited to get your feedback. Actually, the majority of our customers are also professional cooks, and luckily the feedback has been quite strong. The way I'm gonna do this video, I do a video for every customer, by the way. The way I'm gonna do this video is, first I'm gonna give you a couple pointers that a few of our chefs, actually the majority of our chefs, are unfamiliar with. We see some stuff that as knife makers that you as practitioners often don't. So I'm gonna give you a couple tips. Some of them you'll know for sure, obviously ahead of time, but it's always good to refresh. And then I'm also going to show you our QC protocol. Aside from also doing a video for every customer, I also do a video and I do the final QC check. We obviously do QA and QC at our facility in Idaho, but I like to get my hands on every single knife that goes out the door. So you see a few knives here. I do a batch shipment every single day, so that's why you see a couple here. So first things first, in terms of knife care, one of the things that we see fairly frequently, just bear with me one second, I'm just going to grab a prototype knife. So this is a prototype Gyotto. One of the things that we see fairly frequently is a lot of chefs and cooks are chopping and dicing and so on, and they'll scoop with the cutting edge of the blade. One thing that I'd like you to, maybe you do this already, one thing that I'd like you to consider doing is flipping the blade and scooping with the spine. The spine is obviously far tougher than the cutting edge. This is going to significantly extend the edge life on any and all blades that you've got. If you're not doing this, no worries. If you are, it's just a good quick way to ensure that your edge longevity improves a little bit. Cool, that's one thing. Another thing, I imagine you probably have a honing rod that you're using prior to service. We've seen a lot of cooks follow this method. Don't love it for a few reasons, one of which is that you can't possibly maintain as consistent an angle as you could if you were placing the honing rod into the cutting board and moving slowly back and forth like this. So my suggestion, and it's just a suggestion, the honing rod, it is not, for a hard blade like this, it is not meant to remove significant amounts of steel. What it is meant to do is just refine that edge a little bit. So you want to move slow, steady. Ours, 3 times per side, before service, post service, whatever, is totally fine. You're going to find with LMAX that I don't know what your current blades are. You're going to find that you're not going to have to sharpen anywhere near as frequently. The edge is most likely thinner than most of your knives. It's not quite a laser like some of the Japanese blades. I think I mentioned that in one of my messages to you, but it is thin behind the edge. It is 13 thousandths of an inch thick, or thin, I should say, really, behind the cutting edge. It can handle bone. It is not meant to be a bone breaker. This is not a cleaver. If you're working with Brussels sprouts, for instance, and very traditionally you'll find some small stones in that, this blade will have some small chipping from those Brussels sprout stones. If they're clean Brussels sprouts, you're not going to have any issues. Any blade should chip out a little bit. But remember, this is a 60 to 62 Rockwell steel. It's 13 thousandths of an inch thick. It can handle breaking down a chicken. It can handle breaking down a duck, etc. We have one butcher up in Massachusetts, pretty well known guy who uses this knife for everything, including breaking down pigs, cows, etc. So it can handle it. It's not really meant for that, but it can absolutely handle it. So those are kind of the 2 most important care tips that we like to provide for professional cooks. Obviously, no dishwasher. The handle material is a material called Richlite. It is 65% recycled wood pulp. So it is slightly, very, very slightly porous, okay? I think it can take on, from memory, about 1.3% water. So what we suggest is trying to keep, you don't have to do anything special. At the end of service, just make sure this is dry, the handle. LMAX is considered a stainless steel. It is It has 18% chromium. There's adequate free chromium to maintain stainlessness and to ensure that there's no corrosion, no pitting, etc. However, if you leave this in an acidic solution, if you leave this in a salty solution, there will be some minor discoloration. It's very easy to remove. I'm blanking on some of the names. There's a couple products out there that you can remove it with. My suggestion is simply treat it like most of your knives, just at the end of service. Just give it a wipe down with soap and water. Make sure it's clean that way. Another thing, if you're going to go away and you're not going to use a knife for a month or 2 months or whatever it is, and you're going to store it in the leather sheath, like I do, I store all of my knives in leather sheaths. Never had an issue. If I go away for a month or 2 months, which frankly I never do, but if I were to, I would add 1 drop of food grade mineral oil on the blade, and then 1 drop of food grade mineral oil to the handle, and just rub it in with a terry cloth or paper towel or whatever. Okay, that's enough about care. Everything else I'm confident you're more than familiar with. Now I'm going to do an inspection of your knife. So you are getting our Midnight Chef knife. Perfect. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to feel your blade, your handle, excuse me, and make sure that the handle pins, these 4 are the pins, are totally flush with the blade. They are. It's a very nice. Oh wow, this is really good craftsmanship. This is great. Now I'm going to do a quick visual inspection to make sure there's no gaps in the epoxy between the G10, which is the little white layer. You'll see that when you receive it, and the black rich light. There are no gaps. I'm feeling to make sure that it's totally smooth. This is great. And then I'm going to re-oil this before I send it out too. Great. Next thing I'm going to do, I like to make sure there's just a tiny bit of flexibility in the blade. Yeah, there we go. That's good. Yeah, so you can see there, we've got a little bit of flex. That's perfect. I'm going to check the spine to make sure it's nice and rounded. So we spend quite a bit of time rounding the spine. We spend quite a bit of time rounding this area in here is called the choil, right in here. That's where maybe you refer to it as a finger guard or something along those lines. So I check those as a professional cook. I'm sure you know, I'm sure you have calluses on your index finger, calluses in your middle finger. If you'd found us earlier, you wouldn't have those calluses, but nevertheless, it's going to be super comfortable for you from that perspective. Is the blade balanced? Of course it is. There you go. So perfect balance. I'm going to do a quick chip test. So I've actually just cut my finger the other day or earlier today. So I'm going to do this righty, which is a little weird for me. I'm left-handed. So I'm just checking through the nail. That's one way we check. It's weird for me to do everything with the opposite hand. I'm checking to see if the edge will flex under my fingernail, and it does. That's just one of the sure signs of a good heat treat, and we use the best heat treaters in America. We pay up for it, but they're the best. Peter's Heat Treat in Western Pennsylvania, very well known heat treaters. Cool, let's do a magazine paper test. Make sure this puppy is totally sharp, but I felt it on my nail and it's perfect. It's gripping my nail really, really nicely. I'm sure you'll do your tomato tests and grape tests. By the way, if you want to send me video of that, that'd be amazing. I'd appreciate it. Here's a piece of magazine paper. Here's your blade. Oof, like butter. Shall we do the even harder test and fold this in half? Oh, well, hang on 1 second. It's a little awkward. Everything's a little awkward for me right now because I cut myself. But it'll work. I feel it gripping. I just need to get it in there. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Sweet. So that's good. I'm going to check your grind really quickly. So I know you're a professional chef. I picked a knife for you that would have a more acute grind. So we tend to grind anywhere between 14 and 16 degrees. This is on the this is 14. I can just visually inspect and see it pretty quickly. So I know you're a professional cook, so I'm sure going to want to reprofile it or potentially want to reprofile it as you're sharpening over time. But we've got a nice convex, yes, it's really good. A really nice convex grind on here for you. All right, awesome. I'm going to clean this up for you. I'm gonna oil it, and I'm gonna pop it in the mail. It's gonna come in a brown box. I apologize, our new packaging is coming. It is gonna be here in 30 days, maybe 35. Anyways, I know it's for you. It's gonna be super safe in the packaging. I hope you love it. Thank you again, sincerely. My team and I really, really appreciate it. We appreciate your support. Listen, and also, if for whatever reason there's any issue at all, don't hesitate to reach out. We will fix it. We've had almost no issues in the 2.5 years we've been in business in terms of the quality of the product. But if there's any issue, and I just did my QC, so I know this blade is in really good condition. If you have any problems, reach out. I'm happy to answer. I'll answer almost right away. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.